it's Cayley. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with another What Sold video. I thought I would take a moment and kind of include this in this video, but our office is changing a little bit. As you can probably tell from the last time we showed this view of the office, our shelf space is now encroaching closer and closer to the desk. So we've added a few more shelves and kind of condensed this way in order to make more space. We are very quickly filling up the space we're currently in. I would say probably within a year we are going to need to either figure something out within this space or rent another space. But yeah, inventory is taking up a lot of room, but we're trying to make it work and squeeze as much space as we can. But I thought I would share that little update with you guys. We just went over 5,200 listings and that's where we're at. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Cayley. I'm an online reseller. I sell on sites like Ebay and Poshmark. There are a few other ones that I sell on, but I definitely don't list consistently on them, and I use List Perfectly to cross-post all of my items on both of those platforms. Every week I like to come on and share my sales numbers with you guys. Do a breakdown of the numbers here in a second of all of my sales across Ebay and Poshmark. And then every week I like to pick a few of those items to share with you guys and go into greater detail on. So if you want to learn some things that you could pick up at your local thrift store and flip online for a profit, then just keep watching. All right, I want to apologize in advance if anybody's able to hear the music that the tenants next door are playing. Hopefully you can't hear it, but if you can, I just want to apologize in advance because they are playing music kind of loud. So jumping right into sales, all of the sales that you see here on the screen happen between July 17th through the 23rd. That is a Sunday through Saturday, and that is how I calculate my sales. In total, I sold 133 items for a gross sales total of $4,318.08. I am so happy with that number, and hopefully as we move closer to back to school season, that number will stay the same, if not continue to increase. I feel like I've been remaining pretty stagnant for a while in the $3,000 to $3,500 mark. But now that I'm back over to 4,000, I am happy to say that I'm a lot more motivated to get listings up. This made my average sale price $32.47, which is also up from the previous weeks. And my estimated cost of goods based on everything that sold last week was $532. Estimated net, which would be my gross sales less the cost of goods, the fees, and the shipping costs, brought my estimated net to $2,549.68. On eBay, I sold 95 items. On Poshmark, I sold just 38. eBay was quite high last week, which brought the bulk of my sales up. And my gross sales on eBay were just over $3,200. On Poshmark, they were just barely creeping over $1,000. So I'm happy with all of those sales, but eBay was definitely the one that kept everything strong last week. So speaking of eBay sales, we're going to jump right in. I do have a lot to show you guys, so I am going to move pretty quickly. This was probably my best sale last week. This is a Brooks Brothers men's wool overcoat. It was very long. I use the word trench just because there's not really, in my opinion, a great word for a length when it hits kind of midway. And I see a lot of resellers using trench and a lot of buyers are searching for trench. So made sure to include that and the link. This is Brooks Brothers. You guys probably come across it quite frequently in the men's department. I do like a lot of Brooks Brothers stuff, but when I saw this jacket, it just felt super heavy, high quality, and then I saw it was Brooks Brothers and I was like, yeah, I'm getting that. So I did not see a ton of comps on coats like this. I saw a lot of blazers. I even saw some like hitting at the waist dressier coats, wool coats, but nothing like this, and certainly not the herringbone pattern, which if you guys didn't know, can add value. Herringbone and houndstooth really add value in pieces like this. So because I did not know, I priced mine really high. I think I priced mine at $150. I only paid $6.99 for it, and someone sent an offer for $112, which I accepted, and I could not be happier with that. I think I've only been sitting on this for somewhere between 1 and 2 months, so for it to sell that quickly, I was happy with it. I did expect it to sit longer, but I love picking up substantial pieces like this, even if I have to sit on them. Next up is another really great sale. This one actually sold within the same month of listing it. So I think we listed this at the beginning of this month and it just now sold. It is a vintage Pomere or Pomeri Hawaiian maxi dress. And I learned based on my research of this dress that there's actually quite a few vintage Hawaiian dress brands that perform really, really well. So when I was at a thrift store, actually one that I don't normally go to, I came across a vein of just a ton of vintage dresses. And so when I did comps on this one and noticed that they were really high, I then went through the entire dress section and found a couple other vintage pieces as well. But this was definitely the best find. It is maxi length, which I think helped to up the value. I paid $5.49 for this. It sold for my full asking price, again within the same month of listing it, for $79.97. If you see anything like this, regardless of it's this brand or not, I would definitely do a comp. Next up is something I've been experimenting with, and it is maternity wear. We've been selling a lot of maternity items, particularly in the dresses. This is the brand Latched Mama, and I just took a chance on it because, again, we've been performing really well with maternity clothing. I picked this up for only $3.99. It was a size large, and it sold for my full asking price of $29.97. And again, we just listed this at the beginning of this month. Next up is something we listed last month. This is an Express Women's Portofino shirt. I think I've mentioned this a few different times on my channel, but this is a style within Express because, you know, I don't pick up like hardly any Express, but this particular shirt that actually says Portofino on it is a solid seller. It has a really good sell-through rate. People really like getting it for office wear, business casual, and even just like summery, springy kind of look with jeans. But this particular Portofino shirt performs really well. It has a high sell-through rate. However, it does not usually sell for much. Sometimes you can only get $15 for these. The thing that really increases the value with these are typically the pattern, color, and print, and then the larger sizes. This one was only a size medium, and it was a slim fit, but I thought that the color and the pattern really pulled it through. I paid $3.99 for this, and it did sell for my full asking price of $24.96. Something else that's been surprising me lately is this Catherine's plus size. And in fact, a lot of plus size brands that I didn't really used to look at, I am now looking at, because there's actually quite a few brands that I now pick up, but only in plus sizes. Catherine's is, I believe, exclusively a plus size brand, and it performs really well, especially in tops. So I picked up this floral Hawaiian women's shirt. This is in a size 1X for $4.99. It sold for my full asking price of $24.94. It did take a few months to sell, but did sell for full asking price. Next up is something you probably saw in a recent haul where we picked up a ton of like prana items. This was one of those pieces. This is not prana, but it was with that stuff, and it is Faherty. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but this is a great men's brand to pick up, and I believe I've also sold dresses in this brand as well that have performed really well. I actually made a mistake on this. I picked this up because the polos did have a good sell-through rate in this brand, but this was Nuba tags. But when we got it back to the office, I didn't realize that these marks would not come out. I thought they were just like deodorant marks that I could wipe off, but it was actually almost bleached in a way. So instead of just tossing it, I actually paid up for this. I paid $9.99 expecting it to sell for $40 to $50, thinking that flaw would just wipe right off, but it didn't. And so since I had so much invested into it, I went ahead and listed it just at a much lower price. So I paid about $10 for it. I listed it for $29.97 and just included the flaw, which you can see here. And it's sold on an offer to watcher for $26.97. So 10 and 227, not bad. I definitely got my money back, but I'm going to be more careful next time. This was also something we picked up during that trip, and I actually knew about the flaws with this one and decided to get it anyways. This had discoloration all throughout. These are the Patagonia men's baggies shorts, the style name. And I was able to look that up based on the style number on the inside tags. But yeah, this had a ton of mark all around it, but because it had such a high sell-through rate, I figured I would just pick it up, list it for about half the price I normally would, and expect it to sell. And to my surprise, it did. It sold within a week or two for my full asking price of $24.97, and I paid $4.89. Next up is a pair of men's shorts. This is by the brand Travis Matthew. They do a lot of golf wear, and I love picking up their polos, their shorts, and their pants. The pants sell for a little bit more, closer to $30, but the shorts and the polos tend to sell for about what I got for this one, which is about $25. I paid $3.50 for this one, and it sold for $24.96. Here's another brand I can get about the same amount for in just plain shorts. It is Peter Millar, also a golf brand, kind of a preppy looking style. These were the wicking shorts in a size 32. I paid $3.50 for these, and they sold for my full asking price of $24.96, and these took about a month to sell. Next up is not a vintage shirt. However, if you find a vintage shirt like this with the Polo Bear graphic on it by Ralph Lauren, you're looking at a lot more money. This one was just a very modern one, but I thought since the subject matter was so good, someone would still buy it. So I paid $4.29 for this. I listed it for $29.97, and it did sell within pretty much a week of me listing it for my full asking price. So a lot of people leave behind the newer label ones, but I've never had a problem selling them. If you come across Polo Bear items, I think it's worth it. Along with that, like Fajerte brand, I've been picking up a ton of Prana. I mentioned recently in, I don't know if it was a thrift haul or a what sold, I can't remember, probably both, but my thrift stores have been selling like racks of Prana items. I don't necessarily know where they came from, but all I can tell you is that Prana hiking pants in both men's and women's do really well for me. And so I jumped on the opportunity, and I made sure to get all of mine listed very quickly at a competitive price, so that in case any other resellers in my area were doing the same thing, they wouldn't be able to undercut me because I would already have mine listed. So I paid $4.89 roughly for each of those pants. I think in total over the last couple of weeks we've picked up like 50 pairs, mixed men's and women's in different styles, Prana pants alone. And this particular style is called the Hallie or Haley. If you look on the tags on the inside, they have a very easy style number to look up on Google, which will tell you what style they are. Some styles go for more, some go for less, but these women's Hallie or Haley pants do pretty good. I paid $4.89, and they've all been selling for about $30-ish. You can see that this particular one and this particular style I had multiples of because this is a variation listing. Here's another variation listing. This one I picked up, I picked this up about 2 months ago, and we did a thrift haul on it where we just found a ton of really good items, a lot of new with tags Eileen Fisher. This one we had multiples of. You can see we actually had 6 total. So this is one of those variation listings. We paid $4.69 each, and this is just a plain basic essentials jacket. And we sold each of those for between $35 and $40. I had them listed for $39.95, and this particular one that sold last week sold for $35.96. I love Eileen Fisher. I pick up newer label, older label. If it's in good condition, I pick it up because it has a following, and even the older stuff sells well for me. But I know some sellers suggest not to get the older styles. This is something I picked up at the bins. This is my first time finding this brand. It is Love Shack Fancy. This is like the Target collaboration one, I believe, but it was a size 3X. It was a dress, and I was getting it at the bins, so I probably paid a couple bucks for this. I don't remember what I originally had it listed at, but it did take a while to sell, and so I've since dropped the price, and it ended up selling for a dropped markdown price of $55.15. But I would say in general, if you come across Love Shack Fancy, it is absolutely a brand worth picking up, and sometimes even in the ones that are sold at Target. This was a recent pickup as well. This sold within this month, listed and sold within this month. I paid $5.99 for this jacket. It is a Patagonia men's pullover. It kind of had a waffly texture, and we looked up the style number on the inside and learned that it was called the R1 Regulator Grid Pullover. I highly suggest doing that with Patagonia. I think it's definitely worth it to look up the style numbers because some are worth more than others. These R1s do have, as you can see here, a little patch that usually says R or R1 on it. to help you identify it without looking up the style number. But we listed it appropriately, and it sold for a full asking price, again very quickly, for $54.97. This is a pair of men's boots that I paid up for. I paid $7.99. They are the Nike Manoa men's black leather boots. I also looked up the style number on this one. Nike's another brand that's super easy to look up. We don't look up everything, guys. Like, I know people think we look up every style number to every brand. That's not true. It's just typically the ones that I'm showing in the videos are higher end brands and the ones that we did look up. So these are, again, the Manoa men's black leather boots, and really any kind of unique shoe in Nike I almost always look up because it tends to be profitable. This one also was listed and sold in the same month. We listed it for $44.97, and it sold on an offer to watcher for $40.47. Here's another Ralph Lauren piece. This is a men's pair of pants, Polo Ralph Lauren. These were called the 625 Varick Slim, and that information's there. On the men's Polo Ralph Lauren jeans and their pants like this, you'll usually find the style name in the button fly. So if you're not finding it, it's probably located there. But I really love picking up both jeans and men's pants in Polo Ralph Lauren. These ones we paid $4.99 for, and they sold for a full asking price of $39.94. It did take a few months for this one to sell. Here's another pair of Prana pants. I actually sold a lot more than what I'm showing you today, but I thought I would show you this particular style. This is a men's style called Brian, and it's just another pair of hiking pants. Again, we looked up the style name on the inside. This is right here. So just type in Prana space and then the M4BN, that whole number, and hit it into Google. Found out these were called the Brian pants. I also noticed that typically the letters that are in the middle here indicate what it is. So like on the Hallie pants, I believe it said HAL. The Bryans have the BN. So you can keep that in mind as you're looking through them, but definitely a great be on the lookout for item, particularly in the men's, which tend to do better than the women's. If you'll remember, the women's one sold for about $30. The men's are going for about $40. So I paid $4.89 for each of these, and they've been selling for between $35 and $40 depending on if I send offers or not. This particular one sold for about $35 on an offer to watchers. This is a good country like ranch wear type of shirt to look for. It's called Fly Diamond, and I won't say that every like style in this brand sells, but the ones with the cool graphics do. These had some cowboy boot embroidery both on the front and on the back, and with Yellowstone being so popular, we definitely took a chance on this. This was listed back in April, so it did take a couple of months to sell, but really happy with the profits on this. We paid $4.69. It sold for our full asking price of $39.94. And I just wanted to point out, because I get asked this question a lot, we had the name written on the collar here. We just disclosed it, which you'll see right here, and it's still sold. So if you have markings anywhere, if it's a good item, it could still sell. Just make sure you disclose it. Next up is a brand that I've talked about a lot. I love selling this brand. It is Talbot's. I tend to try to stick to the larger sizes. However, dresses, when they are midi length, have been doing pretty good for us. So I paid $4 for this. I listed for $29.96, and it did sell for a full asking price, and this took about a month to sell. If you're not selling Talbot's midi to maxi length dresses, I would definitely look them up because they can be very profitable. This is an item that took a couple months to sell as well. This is a vintage Eddie Bauer dress, and I look for like really grungy looking vintage dresses like this. The like more modest ones but have kind of a grunge look, and in several brands they can do really well. Eddie Bauer is one of them. You're not going to get much for them, but they do eventually sell. I picked this one up at the bins. I probably paid about $3 to $4 on it based on the weight because it was a pretty heavy piece, and it sold for my full asking price of $29.95. This is our go-to. I feel like I show this every single video. It is a Tommy Bahama men's silk shirt. I won't talk about this much, but you guys know that the larger sizes and the silk are where it's at, and also different prints. This one had a really cool like koi fish print, very like Japanese graphic looking. So we listed ours a little bit higher because of that. We paid $3.99 for it. We listed it for $34.95. It sold for our full asking price within a couple of months. This is another great outdoorsy brand to pick up. It is Outdoor Research, and I particularly like picking it up in the men's department. These were just a pair of men's hiking pants. We put utility in the title, and we sold these for, let me look here, an offer to watchers for $29.51. We originally had it priced at $32.79. This isn't a fly off the shelf brand, but it is a solid seller, so I would keep your eye out for it. I think their jackets do even better. And lastly on eBay, before we jump onto Poshmark, are these pair of men's Rock Revival jeans. This is a fantastic brand to pick up in denim wear, especially in the men's department, but you want to make sure you look up the style that's on the inside, and these were called Remy. We actually got these gifted to us by someone in our community that is now donating their clothing to us instead of selling it at garage sales or just donating it straight to a thrift store. And luckily for us, she has pretty good taste. So I'm really happy with the amount of stuff we've been able to get from her. Most of it's pretty bread and butter stuff, but occasionally we'll get an item like this. So I paid $0 for this. It sold on an offer for $70. You can't beat those kind of profits. Let's jump into Poshmark. I sold this Lilly Pulitzer dress for $40. We paid $4.99 for it. Not much to say here. I pick up almost every Lilly Pulitzer dress. You definitely want to try and look up the style name if you can. We could not find this one, so we just listed it with details, but 5 into 40 can't beat Lilly Pulitzer dresses. Next up is an American Eagle pickup. I almost never pick up American Eagle denim anymore. There are a lot of factors that have to go into it. One of them is being a larger plus size. So this one was a size 18, which is why I picked this up. I always do my comp with the size and the style. So when I looked these up on eBay, I looked up American Eagle Artist Crop 18 and I did my comps based on that. These ones, I think we originally listed at maybe 32-ish and they sold on an offer for $28 and we paid $6.99. Next up is another Patagonia piece. This one is just a women's hoodie, but anything Patagonia with a large graphic on the back and the name spelled out is always going to perform well. We could not find the exact style name to this, so we just listed as is, but the graphic really spoke to me and I knew it was going to sell for quite a bit. We paid $4.69 for this. My thrift stores just price hoodies as sweaters in most of the stores. So $4.69 and it sold on an offer for $54. You can't beat that. This was something I picked up based on the material. This is Uniqlo. Uniqlo actually can retail for quite a bit, but it does not typically have a very high sell-through rate, so I almost always leave it behind. However, this was a size extra, extra large cashmere sweater. So for both of those reasons, I got it. It was in really great condition. I paid $4.69 for this, and it sold for $35. Here's another Nike piece. We paid $4.69 for this. This is a skort. Skorts have been performing really well for us. If you don't know, a skort is just shorts underneath of a skirt. A lot of people use them for tennis and other activewear sports, but people I notice are just wearing it for fashion as well. So I paid $4.69. It sold on an offer for $27, and that's pretty good for a pre-owned skirt. This was a Ben's pickup. This is one of our favorite brands to sell. It's amazing bread and butter. It is J. Jill. I do try to focus on the larger sizes and the good materials in this brand. In this case, this was a size large and it was a linen blend and it sold for $27. This is a higher end brand, although I don't think it typically has a very high sell-through rate. It is Todd Snyder, but I got it just because it was higher end and it was a men's piece, which helps to sell it quicker in my opinion. I paid $4.69 for this. It sold on an offer for $48. We sold the Squishmallow. This is not typically something we sell. We don't usually steer away from clothing, shoes, and accessories, but occasionally if we know something's profitable, we will pick it up. And these Squishmallows are basically like pillows, so they're really easy to ship and you don't have to worry about breaking them. I paid $6.99 for this one and it sold for $30, and surprisingly it sold on Poshmark. I paid $4.89 for this Robert Graham men's t-shirt. I love anytime I can find just a plain t-shirts that sells for $25. Like, I would sell t-shirts all day long if I could find enough of them with a high sell-through rate. I got this one because it was Robert Graham and it was a size extra large, and I thought it had a cool graphic. Robert Graham is typically a good brand to pick up, although I don't find a lot of the t-shirts. To my surprise, it did sell pretty quickly for $25. This was actually surprisingly a bins pickup. It is a men's Ralph Lauren wool blazer. I don't really like selling blazers. They're very hard to convey measurements to, and they just take a lot more time to photograph and to deal with and etc. So I don't usually like to get it, but what I will tell you about blazers is that when wool is involved, it's blue and it has gold buttons. That's usually a good indicator to look it up. So especially in Ralph Lauren, their blazers perform pretty well for me. Polo Ralph Lauren, all that stuff. The men's blazers do good. So I picked this up at the bins. It was a little bit heavier, so I probably paid close to like $4 for this, and it sold on an offer for $70. I couldn't be more happy with that. Got some more Talbots pieces coming your way. I got this piece at the bins as well. It is just a Talbots pure cashmere sweater. Again, I do try to stick to the larger sizes in Talbots, but this one had a substantial fabric, and 100% cashmere anything always adds value. So as light as cashmere is, I probably paid a couple bucks for this, and it sold for $32. You guys can probably see that cashmere is starting to sell. There were a couple sales during this video that were cashmere, so start getting your cashmere now. This is another Talbots dress. This one was a size extra large, and it had some interesting detail, and I think red is a great color to sell in dresses. I paid $4.89. It sold for $27. Next up is a pair of Crocs. I paid $4.99 for these. I don't pick up a ton of Crocs anymore, but the ones that I do look for are typically the more stylish ones. These are like a rose gold metallic sandal. They have a little bit more of a platform on them, and they sold for $24. This is a really great shoe brand to pick up. The brand is Ultra. Let me see if we have a picture of the inside. We do not, but this is the logo. It's pretty easy to identify, and it's spelled ALTRA. And Ultra is a fantastic brand to sell in both men's and women's. It has a very high sell-through rate. I priced these a little lower just because there was some marks on in and outside of the shoe, which we did try to note, and they still sold for $38. Had these been in better condition, I would have priced them much higher, but you definitely want to keep your eye out for this brand, Ultra. This is an Outdoor Voices women's track pants. This is the first time I found Outdoor Voices that wasn't just leggings or like a tank top. So this was a pretty substantial, really thick feeling, almost jogger like pant. And these were a women's size extra large, which helped to up the value. These do very well. I priced it pretty high, and they ended up selling for $55. I actually found two of these identical ones, and this first one sold very quickly. And lastly, the last item I wanted to share with you on Poshmark is this Ralph Lauren women's cable knit sweater. I think you can come across these pretty often, and people just constantly pass on them. During fall and winter, this stuff is going to fly off the shelf. It is just a cotton women's cable knit sweater with a little logo. I do like looking for the more colorful ones, but keep your eye out for it, because even just cotton, if it's got cable knit and that logo, you're looking at about 30 bucks. So this one I paid $4.69 for, and it sold for $27. Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already and you would like to be, don't forget to subscribe down below. Make sure and hit that notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time I post new content. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.